So one of my whistleblowers sent this to me today. She's a member of the National PTA, and so she gets all kinds of things in her email box that the rest of us wouldn't necessarily see unless we bookmarked the National PTA's website. And I wanted to react to it for you because this is probably a message that you'll be getting more and more from teachers and PTA organizations and other educators, etc. This is dated back in 2018. So this is not new, but this was sent to her recently. So that tells me they are shifting more and more of the blame onto parents and parent organizations for the lack of achievement on the part of their students. We've already seen this when parents step up to complain about what's going on in the curriculum. They're ridiculed, they're mocked, they're demeaned, they're called domestic terrorists, and lack of achievement is blamed on racism. Generally speaking, it's blamed on the racism of the parents. And then, of course, when someone steps up who is not white, they're described as, wearing blackface, or they're white adjacent, or they've internalized racism, or, there's some kind of interest convergence or whatever, what have you. They use the language of critical theory to argue that even the person who is not white, who's complaining about what's going on or complaining about the lack of focus on academics, is really just, marinating in whiteness, and we should discount what they say. So the goal has been to put the onus on parents, like everything wrong with our kids, including their mental health, their lack of reading proficiency, math proficiency, etc. That's the fault of parents. And, you never see them saying, wow, we've really messed up that we only have, 30% of kids proficient at reading by the time they graduate high school. So when I look at this article entitled Use Your Kids' Screen Time to Inspire a Love of Learning, I look at it differently. You might see it and be like, oh, what's wrong with that, Deb? What's wrong with that? Like, that sounds like a good idea. Use their screen time to inspire a love of learning. Why not? Why not leverage things like that? Where to begin? Okay, well, first of all, if you've noticed, until you step up to complain, 90% of the blame coming at parents is soft, is between the lines. Use your kids' screen time to. Why is that the parent's job when they spend most of their time in school? Shouldn't they be developing a love of learning there? I'm not saying parents have no role to play. Don't hear me saying that. Of course they do. But there's something about this declarative statement, the way they've phrased this, that kind of bugs me. And instead of saying, here's an idea or, 10 ways you can, it's do it. There's a little bit of a difference there. And you might think that's very conspiratorial of you. Maybe it is. But I notice these things. I notice that the way people on the left use words is always intentional. It's never by accident. And things are always disguised to sound perfectly innocuous, but really underneath it all is a command or a judgment. So that's how I read that in the first place. By PBS Kids. So we already know this is written by PBS Kids. So we have, and PBS, you might think, well, they're nonprofit. Are they though? Are they really nonprofit? Maybe they're nonprofit in the sense that they don't go out and have to get advertisers, but they're still out to make money. They are still needing to get grant money from various foundations and you, the individual donor or member. So they're still out there advertising and trying to get your money. And they have to pay their people who want to make money. So, this notion that because they're nonprofit, they're giving something away for free is utterly ridiculous. Okay? It just means the structure of their money making is different. That's all it means. So it's by PBS Kids. Might as well be an advertisement than instead of saying, use what your kids are already doing to inspire love of learning, it's get them watching more of our product and maybe they'll read more. And I'm here to tell you that's wrong. You know what I wanted to say. I'm trying to clean up my mouth. Yeah, that's just not accurate. That's not how it works. If you watch my channel with any degree of regularity, or you are a member of my locals community, and by the way, while we're on that subject, I would like to ask you to please subscribe to this channel if you're not already subscribed. Like, comment, and share this video, and watch some of my other videos so you can familiarize yourself with the content I do provide. It is about all things to do with the education of your children and the state of education in America. But I have a locals community at thereasonwelearn.locals.com, where I have a much closer relationship with my members. I post some exclusive content for supporters there. It does help me have the time to produce this content. And I put up lots of helpful information for those who are seeking alternatives to the institutions that are available to them, like public and private school. So lots of great things going on in locals, including a weekly Zoom call. But let's get back to this content. So what I tell my members and my subscribers all the time is that screen time should be limited, especially for students who are not already avid readers. Screen time can only get in the way of it. I will stand by that. I will die on that hill. I do not believe that increasing screen time, or even telling yourself that you can leverage it so you don't feel quite so bad about how much they already have, or so that you look the other way when the teacher directs them to watching PBS videos during school or as homework, because that happens too. You can tell yourself it's all fine. It's okay. This is good. And I'm here to tell you, no, it's not. It's not. It gets in the way. Here's how it gets in the way. It gets in the way because it's passive. It's passive entertainment. The child does not have to do anything, including think very critically or use their imagination to conjure up what things look like, what's going to happen next. They just kind of follow along. They can just be very lazy in their thinking because it's all presented for them. On the flip side, they won't be able to get any insight into the motivations of the characters, their values, their hopes, their dreams, their problems. And things have a way in TV stuff like PBS shows of always working out. It works out in the end. We have 15 or 20 minutes, there's a problem presented, and it's all fixed. That's not reality, and that's not how things work in books. That's not to say there aren't books that have happy endings, of course, and many of them that are age appropriate for your kids do. But they have some ups and some downs and some challenges before they get there. They don't have a time limit to wrap it all up in an artificially convenient way. And the beginning, middle, and end is a little bit more drawn out. And the person reading has to, first of all, sometimes gets a window into motivations because the author explicitly tells them. They have a point of view that's more omniscient. It's not so two-dimensional. And they have to use their imagination for all aspects of it. To get that movie to run in their mind, they have to use their imagination, on top of developing their reading skills. And the message isn't only read what's already of interest to you, but you might not know what's of interest to you until you read. See, it's like a little bit different. And screen time literally releases dopamine because of this pleasurable passive entertainment experience. The dopamine is a chemical that is addictive. It's addictive. If you try to follow these suggestions, you are having to take your child away from the screen and tell them how something that is harder work, that they don't know how to do very well, and the more screen time they have, the less well they know how to do it, that they would physically and emotionally rather do is something that they would rather not do is something they should do. You're now setting yourself up for a little bit of a power struggle. What if they say no? What if they say, what's the point? Let's go through some of these and I'll explain why I'm saying that. Okay. So it says, for those of us who love to read, it's hard to imagine not wanting to pick up a book and dive into a new world or browse through an article and learn something new. But a barrier to these invaluable experiences does exist for young readers, and it seems to be about knowing where to start. I would disagree. That's an adult point of view. It's not that the young reader doesn't know where to start. It's that the young reader has distractions that are easier and seemingly more accessible and more entertaining, immediately entertaining, especially if they've had screen time from a very young age. It's not where should I start? It's why should I start? So they'll get into that, but I'm going to challenge that too. For young readers, libraries and bookstores can seem overwhelming. My children never did that. I never felt overwhelmed in a bookstore. It was like a candy store because I loved to read. I had no such thing as screen time. I wasn't allowed to watch television. It'd be the very rare occasion, like Thanksgiving, they'd put on The Wizard of Oz. You can watch TV. Huge special occasion to watch something very specific that was only on once a year. Then I was able, after a while, once I was an extremely good reader, I was allowed to watch Wild Kingdom, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, because that was deemed educational. But it wasn't to spark my love of reading. It was just I was already such an avid reader. It wasn't a big deal to let me have a half an hour on a Sunday to watch this show. That's it. And that went on for years. But anyway, I'd walk into a bookstore and it was like, I want it all. I want all of them. I'd go in the children's department. And the same was true for my kids. When they were homeschooled in the early grades and they didn't get to watch TV, and I read to them. We had weekly trips to the library. We brought home bags of books. I let them just go to the shelves and pick out whatever appealed to them. They treated it like a candy store too. So I question this. It's so overwhelming. That's a matter of attitude on the part of the adult. And I disagree. I just disagree. And I don't think that adults should be coming in and like orchestrating what they should read or making all this suggestions. Let them pick it out. Let them just flip through books for an hour at the library or the bookstore. All right. You can make suggestions. I'm not saying not, but I just don't, I don't know. Assigned reading may be a little dull. Well, it might be if you don't know your child at all. Do I need to watch what my child chooses to watch on television or on a screen to figure out what they like? Shouldn't I know that? Shouldn't we be having conversations? Shouldn't I be reading to them myself to expose them to the wide world of interests they could possibly have so they can find new interests? I mean, that's assigned reading maybe a little dull. I mean, the stuff they give them at school. Well, if that's true, then maybe the school needs to pay more attention and assign things that aren't so dull. Or maybe it's dull because they spend so much time on screens. They think everything that's not easily accessible passively is dull. Ever hear that? Boring. Reading's boring. That's code for I have to work at it. And they might not like to read about the things their best friend or siblings find interesting. And water is wet. Again, let's write down a bunch of things that are obvious or not necessarily true and make it sound like we're the experts. Every child takes a different road to reading. That is true. So it's not surprising when parents get stuck trying to help their kids find the joy in it. Generally speaking, when you do something well or reasonably well, or when the people around you love to do it and are joining you in doing it and are doing it in front of you and so forth, it's a lot easier to feel joyful about it. But if your parents don't read, there's no books in the home, you get to watch TV or play games kind of whenever you want, or lots of it, let's say more than an hour a day, and you have since you were 2, sitting at the dinner table while your parents just handed you their phone or handed you an iPad or handed you something to look at to keep you occupied, as opposed to a picture book, coloring book, or anything else. It's going to be hard to come backwards and find the joy in that, isn't it? Okay. So I'll just tell you straight up, you're going to have to detox your kids from the tech and detox them from the screens. If it's so hard, if you can't just sit down and say, let's read together and I will read you something that's ahead of you, I wouldn't expect you to read, but it's a really great story and we're going to sit together and I'm going to read it to you. And if that doesn't get them like listening attentively and thinking that maybe books contain some pretty cool stuff, and it might take a couple weeks of that while they detox from the other stuff. If that doesn't work, then I'll be shocked. Put it that way. To get unstuck, look in an unexpected place, screen time. Yes, that would be unexpected. That's not where I would look, but okay. At PBS Kids, we view our online series, games, and apps as potential catalysts for learning. I bet you do. I bet you like to view them that way. But chances are they're just things you really want to put in front of more kids, and you're trying to convince parents to do that in this back-asswards way. Engaging children in a subject they love so they can take learning off screen and into a book they'll potentially enjoy. Good luck. Good luck. I would love to see this done. Like, try this experiment. We also strive to develop content that makes kids want to learn more with shows that help kids learn the fundamentals of literacy, like letter recognition, rhyming, sight words, and vocabulary. Yeah, you try. You used to do better. The original Electric Company was awesome. Zoom was pretty good. The original Sesame Street, pre-politics, was great. But of late, what we've seen on PBS is a whole lot of politicking and, manipulation, emotional manipulation, and not a whole lot of just rote learning. That excitement for learning and discovery and the enjoyment of character, storytelling, and topics are tools you can use to help encourage your child's reading. How does that work? Yes, please tell me. I would love to know. Let your child's interest be your guide. Again, I don't need PBS to help me do this. I can talk to my child. I can talk to them. I can take them to the library, show them books that they tell me are about their interests, and we can look at it directly. I don't need PBS as the go-between. In fact, like I said, you're triangulating. You are now putting me in a position where I have to fight with my kid about how, because imagine you're the kid and the parent goes, what are you interested in? Oh, I'm really interested in animals. That's why I like to watch Wildcrats, because I love watching animals and these cool shows, and they always have like a villain in there. And I like that sort of thing. Or I like mysteries and, whatever. Okay, great. Let me show you this book. Why? Can't I just watch another Wildcrats? No, but you can learn more about it. I can do that in watching Wildcrats too. But you can go deeper and learn more about it. They don't understand that. Like, at the age where they would find these PBS shows of interest at all, they're like, what do you mean deeper? What do you mean more? This is enough. This is enough. I'm happy. I'm enjoying myself. I'm learning some basic stuff. Why do I need to go deeper? What is deeper? What do you mean deeper? Well, there's so much more you could learn about them, but this is enough. I'm satisfied. It's the same argument you have with your kids when you put food in front of them and you go, you could get a lot more nutrition out of, vegetables and carrots. Oh, you like to eat chicken nuggets and fries. Let's talk about eating vegetables. There are these great things called vegetables. That was satisfying. You enjoyed the meal. It was good, right? And, imagine how satisfied you'd be if you had all these other vitamins in your system. But I feel satisfied right now. I don't know what that would feel like. And I don't care because I don't feel the loss of it. It's the identical argument, just so you know. All right. If you're not sure what sparks your child's interest, ask them to share a favorite game, program, or movie. See if you'd started with books and if you kept focused on books. And if you ditched the shows, they'd only have books to show you. They wouldn't be going back to this, junk food. All right. Comedy, drama, adventure, everyone has their preference. Thank you for telling me things I already know. Don't forget hands-on learning can still include reading. Your child may be more of a doer than a reader. Again, something one would hopefully know if you spend any time with your children. You would know this. And you can just do things with them. And if they really are a doer, why are they sitting in front of screens? If your kid is interested in building, cooking, or playing games and sports, you can use those hands-on activities as a road to reading. Every recipe must be read. Yes, this is true. Why do I need PBS in the middle of that? Let's just get out the food and the cookbook. Just go straight to that. Just do that. Make it a family activity. One thing you'll notice about PBS Kids shows, the family is a big part of many of our series. Really? The parents are very often missing, or you see their hands or their feet, or, they're like nowhere to be found. Or when they're in there, it's like, anyway, I would not call these family shows the way like I would want my family to behave. I'm not saying they're anti-family per se. I just don't think, again, that I need the go-between. I don't need Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood to make it a family activity. And the vast majority of parents who are putting their kids in front of these shows are doing it because they're busy doing something else. It's like a babysitter. And I would like to really encourage you parents to not do that. Obviously, I'm saying don't do that. And then people say, well, what are they going to do? I have to go work on my computer and they're going to bother me. And they're going to... Are you or are you not in charge? Are you or are you not in charge? Set some ground rules. Give them things they may do quietly. Here's a box of books. Here's some coloring books. Here are some art supplies. Here are some games you can play with each other at your age level. That's what you can do while I'm busy. Let's see who can be the quietest. The one of you that gets to be the quietest gets to pick the game we play tonight or pick the story I read tonight. And of course, you can have them both win and read 2 stories. Duh. But, make it, gamify the quiet. Come up with creative ways. It is, sorry to put too fine a point on it, lazy. And you're therefore teaching laziness. Your kids are really smart. They pick up on when you go, here, sit here and watch PBS. It's a learning show. Go. I got to go work. And then think, well, if mom and dad or babysitter or nanny or whoever the adult in the room is can take the easy way out to keep me occupied, they'll keep doing it. And why can't I? What's the argument? Why should I work so hard? Why should I pick up a book? That's hard for me when to learn about my interest in animals. I can just turn on the television. Why should I do it? So, like I said, I just want to share this with you because so much of what's going on that's coming between us and our kids, it's coming between our kids and learning and being good at things they really do need to be good at, like reading and writing and social skills, are sold to us in these innocuous little ways. Use your kids' screen time to inspire a love of reading. And nobody challenges it. And why would you? It's perfectly packaged and marketed to sound like it makes sense. And here comes Deb, the cognitive wrecking ball, to get you thinking about how maybe it doesn't make so much sense. So I hope that got you thinking. I really do, because this is bogus. Thank you for watching. Again, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel, like, comment, and share the video, and I'll see you next time.